immediately establishes the Russian-European military communications link to bypass both the United States and NATO for the United Kingdom, France, Finland, and Sweden, and that approves of a meeting between President Putin and President Donald Trump, quote, in order to start discussing pressing matters concerning the two countries and issues of global strategic stability, unquote. And these notes meant in disgust the complete and total silence that's fallen over the United States after testimony given by Russian Trump dossier fabricator Christopher Steele in a British court, no doubt, saw him admitting under oath that he was hired by Hillary Clinton to concoct his lies so she could use them to challenge the results of the 2016 presidential election and overthrow President Donald Trump. For nearly the past 2 years, the United States has been rocked by its biggest political scandal in history due to the preposterous and made-up lies that President Donald Trump colluded with Russia to win his election against Hillary Clinton. This began when Hillary Clinton herself hired the former British MI6 operative Christopher Steele to create the totally discredited Russian Trump dossier that in turn was used by the FBI to illegally obtain U.S. federal court spying warrants against the Trump campaign, as well as insert covert operatives into the campaign itself. And in the hours right before President Donald Trump was inaugurated in January of 2017, saw the Obama regime illegally passing it out to selected Democratic Party U.S. senators. And yes, this is documented and unredacted, with fully half of the American people saying they believe that the facts of this made-up Russian dossier are real. Their numbers apparently don't include the disgraced and fired former FBI Director James Comey, who this past week testified under oath to the U.S. Congress claiming that he knew little about this fabricated dossier or its Hillary Clinton bought and paid for creator Christopher Steele. And he confessed that the FBI had not corroborated with the Steele dossier before it was submitted as evidence to a secret court to support a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrant to actually spy on the Trump campaign advisor, the Carter Page incident, in the final weeks of the election, and didn't seem to know, according to Comey, that his own FBI was using the number 4 Justice Department official, Bruce Orr, as a conduit to keep collecting intelligence from Christopher Steele about the British intelligence operative being paid by Hillary Clinton herself and was fired by the Bureau for leaking and lying. Going from a simple comical farce to a full-blown Greek tragedy, that's a drama or literary work in which the main character is brought to ruin. However, Hillary Clinton's dossier coup plot device against President Trump ensnared U.S. Army General Michael Flynn, a 33-year-old distinguished and highly awarded military officer who was set up by the FBI and James Comey and illegally charged with lying, and just a few days ago saw Special Counsel Robert Mueller refusing to release to the U.S. federal court the original 302 report on Flynn that was taken by FBI Special Agents Joe Pentka and Peter Strzok in January of 2017. U.S. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein also refusing to allow FBI Special Agent Joe Pentka to testify, with it further being revealed that the Defense Intelligence Agency that General Flynn once headed is now refusing to release a document that contains extraordinary exculpatory information about General Flynn himself. While watching Hillary Clinton's hysterical Russian Trump dossier coup plot go down in flames, Special Counsel Robert Mueller has now pivoted his witch hunt investigation about President Donald Trump away from Russian collusion and towards the Middle East, with new reports showing he is now targeting Israel, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia, and some claiming that new indictments against this nation's citizens will start dropping in early 2019. Special Counsel Mueller's now targeting the Middle East in the aftermath of December 11, 2018, when the U.S. House of Representatives voted unanimously, no member objective, by vote voice, unrecorded so that nobody can subsequently be blamed for anything, unquote, that President Donald Trump should impose penalties which could amount to billions of dollars against any EU-based corporation that participates with Russia in Russia's Nord Stream 2 pipeline to supply gas to Europe. It's a bridge too far for the United Kingdom, France, Sweden, and Finland, most particularly the nuclear weapon powers United Kingdom and France, who don't want their countries reduced to smoking ruins if Russia believes they're taking the side of the United States, and the Nordic nations of Sweden and Finland, who now their neighbor Norway will be evaporated within the first few minutes of supposed World War III, all of whom have now established their own private communications link with Russia's defense ministry to make sure the same doesn't happen to them. As to who is really in power and control of the United States as it slides ever deeper into self-inflicted chaos while taking the rest of the world down with it, supposedly, one can only hope that President Donald Trump, most dangerously because Saudi Arabia is learning for themselves quite quickly that ultimately it may pay not to have all its eggs in one geopolitical superpower basket called the United States. And nobody of sane mind ever messes with Israel, period. Critical points one hopes Special Counsel Robert Mueller truly knows before his witch hunt ignites a fire that even he won't be able to extinguish, before the entire world burns into its own flames.
$5 million so far, still going. Documents reveal the tactics the FBI took that were questionable when they interviewed General Michael Flynn way back in January of 2017. Here to react, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
Let's get right down to it. There was yet another document dump. It seems like every Friday there's something coming from the special counsel's office. This is a response to what Flynn's team had said. What's the most important thing you took away from these documents?
The documents confirm that General Flynn's attorneys were right in raising questions about the way Flynn was approached and questioned. It confirms that the FBI agents, including Peter Strzok, didn't see any indications of lying by Flynn. In fact, they believed he was telling the truth, and that he believed he was telling the truth. And on top of that, you had Andrew McCabe, the corrupt number 2 of the FBI, who had been fired for lying since, call up Flynn and say, you know what? You don't want to involve White House counsel here because we're going to have to bring the Justice Department in, which was a bunch of malarkey. And the idea that he did this to the National Security Advisor is just unbelievable to me. And now we know whose idea was this? James Comey.
Yeah,
so you had this corrupt duo of Comey and McCabe targeting Flynn for what? He talked to the Russian ambassador, his incoming National Security Advisor. There was no reason to go after him but to target him and to get a scalp as they embarked on their anti-Trump campaign.
Tom, to your point, James Comey did this interview several days back here in New York City and sort of boasted about the fact, I wouldn't have been able to get away with this in the George W. Bush administration or the Obama administration. They were more organized, but there was chaos at the beginning of the Trump administration. So instead of going through the White House counsel's office, we sort of just sprung this on Flynn. How could he say that?
What an outrageous hypocrite. This is the same man who complained about the White House talking to him and the president talking to him directly about cases because, quote, there were procedures about how the White House was supposed to communicate with the FBI and Justice Department. And it goes to show that the rules didn't apply to Donald Trump when it came to targeting him. And they were holding him out to a standard that they held no one else out to.
This is what the president and his attorney, Rudy Giuliani, have been saying, that there's 2 standards of justice. This fires a lot of people up. I've got less than a minute, Tom. Bottom line, do you think there's a chance that Judge Sullivan just says the FBI acted improperly here? I'm throwing out the charges against Flynn.
Oh, I think he ought to do that. I think he needs to initiate proceedings, throw out the charges based on government misconduct, and protect General Flynn from being prosecuted anymore on these issues. And if he doesn't do it, President Trump can't pardon Flynn soon enough.
All right, Tom Fitton has been all over the story from the beginning. Appreciate your insight this morning.